then I went on to product designing, where we make some products present for competitions, basically using CAD, CFD, or any other simulation softwares, ANSYS and all. That was a pretty interesting work, and we won a bunch of competitions and made a few projects too, and even for COVID and all, and also somewhere kind of being commercialized, so on the verge of being commercialized. So yeah, that was my interest. So I like making products, but I found material science a more impactful in making this. Like, you could build fundamentally a different thing. So especially energy industries, where I while making projects and all, I found a very awesome sector, like where you can make a lot of impact. So that's why I like the energy sector. So accordingly, I planned my intern, but the problem, due to COVID, my experimental, I couldn't conduct any experimental interns. Intern, I conducted simulation intern, computational intern in NUS, and that was based on designing a reactor for CO2 conversion, and then density functional theory study of how of a side reaction that occurs on CO2 electrode. So that results some efficiency loss, and I had to find the mechanism behind it. So this was what I did till now, and my for future, I continue to work. I would like to work in battery fuel cells, etc. So, and supercapacitors and all. Even CO2 reduction also, I like the sector, but I'm not sure if it's industrialized much.
We say,
I have
when you say for future you want to work in this sector, you mean in near future you want to do study further, or you want to work for industry and work on those industry?
I would like to work on this industry, but just that I'm not sure if a bachelor's is enough, and I don't think my knowledge is very high, very like good enough for to work on these as of now. I'm not sure. That's one doubt, and I'm not actually sure if I mean a bachelor's in material engineering is enough for that. And then also also I'm not sure the industries actually have a hold in India. Abroad is what I'm thinking of, but economic conditions not really good for now. That's another concern I have.
So did my undergraduate at Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology.
um, yeah, this is
So
yeah, this is kind of my
what year are you in?
third year.
Okay, and you will graduate in 2021, right?
2022.
20. Oh, you are in a third year. Okay, okay. So you graduate in 2020. Okay. So let's say if you decide to come to or decide to go for higher studies, then you have to give your GRE and TOEFL next year around the
Yeah,
same time.
yeah.
Okay. And so let me ask you again. I'm a little bit confused here. Do you what are your questions here? Like, um, you said you want to work in these core sectors, but you feel one is probably India doesn't have those jobs in those sectors, and um, and then second thing, I think what you mentioned is for you pursuing any studies abroad, the loan part is what bothers you more. Is that,
Yes,
if I understood correctly, right?
yes,
And then you are
yeah,
looking for some sort of an answer, like what the right way to move ahead. Is that I understood
yeah,
correctly?
yeah. Absolutely correct.
Okay, okay. Okay, I'm going to answer that too. And I think there are a lot of questions you have here. I'm going to just summarize that. And a couple of things which I noticed in your question. you are talking about like Canada, Japan, Australia, and then you're talking about working in Japan on that, all that. Is the reason is because you are thinking of working in these sectors, and that's where you see the opportunities. If I correct, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So let me tell you, Navneet, few things here. Number one, for you as a bachelor's, finding a job in some other country in the core sector, unless and until you get a placement uh, from your um, from your school, college, would be the chances will be almost zero.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
let's take that step out. So let's say, for example, if a fuel cell company or a battery company come to your school for a placement, right?
Okay.
Definitely
Hmm.
there is a chance, right? And more
Hmm.
so,
Okay.
if you look at the companies who come for a placement, whether they are US companies or any companies, most likely the jobs are in India. They are not like hiring you for Australia or hiring you for US. Very few times that happens. Only time that happens is, I mean, as you said, very few times that scenario happens. Okay, and mostly it happens in the IT sector, right? Google or Facebook. That's what I have
Yeah,
known and I have seen also.
true.
So in a core sector, unless and until a company in that sector is coming and hiring you from your college, the chances, as I said, are almost zero. So I don't think you should put too much effort on that particular side. Only thing you can do is apply on their websites. But again, as I said, that's a big black hole. God knows what happens.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
And the other thing is, as you said, I think you are absolutely right. All these sectors, whether they are batteries, fuel cells, um, s- any energy conversion and storage sector, and so forth, requires some sort of an expertise. And as a bachelor's, you don't have that. You have not studied those things yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Hmm.
it's not like how should I say, like working for um, any IT company or established core technologies. Like, for
Okay.
example, working for Boeing to make an aircraft, right?
Yeah.
You will see a lot of undergraduate students works there, but you will find a lot of the companies, and again, don't mix it with Tesla or someone, because Tesla is not a battery company, it's a car company. But the
Okay.
companies who make batteries, right, who are investing their time in doing research and fundamental research and all this, as a bachelor's, you are not trained yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question comes here is, if you want to do that, the only way you can do that, the only way is you have to go for higher studies in those areas.
Okay.
That's the only way. Okay. Now question comes, what do you mean by higher studies? Is it master's or is it PhD? Right? It could be any of both, most likely PhD. It could be both, but most likely PhD.
Okay.
Okay, so for example, if you have done a PhD in novel or new materials for cathode materials or electrolyte materials, and you solve some problem for batteries, you are considered as an expert.
Hmm.
Do
Okay.
you understand my point? So
Yeah.
this is what you have to do it if you want that.
Okay.
Whether you have to take again, if you so let's talk about the next step now. Let's say you apply for a master's or PhD program in US, or I'm going to talk about US because I live in US, so I know more about here. Let's say if you apply for a PhD program or master's program in US. In US, if you apply for a master's program, most likely, I would say 99.9%, you will get an admission without any scholarship.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
if you apply for a PhD program, 99% 0.9% chances you will get funded but then it will be competitive.
Okay.
You can, as a bachelor's graduate from India, you are eligible to apply for a PhD program. You can do that, direct PhD program. You can do that, but as I said, that will be funded, but it will be competitive. So any internship you have done, your GRE score, your TOEFL score, anything that has a lot of value then.
Mm. Okay.
Okay. I don't know much about Singapore, but I'm pretty sure it's a similar case, and it's a similar case as any universities. In in US, I know that they accept direct PhD students, but I don't know also about other countries where they accept direct PhDs.
Okay.
I don't know that. But in US, yes, they do, because as I said, the eligibility is 16 years of education, which as a bachelor's you have that 12 plus 4.
Any recommendation which country maybe or would be ideal for this?
Ideal for what?
Ideal for these fields. Like after PhD, also I would probably into industry. I don't think I am academia guy.
He said,
So
you can, that's not a difficult task to do. You can Google it and find it out. But I would say, all these areas, especially the battery areas or fuel cell areas, I think every country is working on it. Um, China, Japan, Korea, US, Europe, few countries, a lot of countries are doing a lot of fuel cell work there because of hydrogen economy and all that. But those are the companies I would say. I don't know about Australia, but I would definitely say Germany, Norwegian countries are doing it, Scandinavian countries, a lot of fuel cell work. Definitely Japan, Korea are doing a lot of work. I know that for sure, lot of work. And if you think about all those Japanese or Korean companies, whether they are Panasonic or LGs or Samsung, they are they have a huge plant on batteries. Even so that, I don't know whether if you have that information, like even Tesla, they buy their batteries from Panasonic. They don't make batteries.
yeah.
So it
Uh,
just give you an idea about the scale. But as I said, if you go there, you do your bachelor, sorry, master's or PhD. I don't know whether as an Indian citizen you can work there. That's a separate story.
okay.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is will be a other part, because they have their Korean students and Japanese students and out there. But as I said, it's not like I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that if you're good, you can find a job anywhere. That's not a problem. Like, but at the same time, you have to understand, for you, if you, let's say, decide to go to US or decide to come to US or decide to go to Japan or Korea, then for you the chances of finding a job will be higher in that country. You can't say I can study in Japan and find a job in Australia. That will be difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
so just make sure that before you take that move, you understand them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
The other
for
the other way
like
I also yeah the other way I also say that, again, if you are so interested in these areas, um, you can always do your masters from really good university from India, whether you want to go to IITs or ISCs, and then apply for a PhD program in US. I would say you will be 100% sure that you will get an admission in a good university within a scholarship. That's
okay.
also a case, because as I said, you are a bachelor's. um, I'm glad that you have narrowed down the area that you want to work on and everything. And it's again, as you said, to be honest with you, if you have a very good GRE score, very good TOEFL score, you have a good GPA, you get good recommendations, you have decent couple of papers and some research that you have done. If you have that package, I don't see why you cannot get an admission into a PhD program in US. I don't see that it can happen.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mm.
and as you said, PhD is the only program where you will be able to find the scholarship, not masters.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what I think is PhD is kind of a long-term commitment for 5 years, and
So
also
as you said, you got to be an
um,
expert in this area then. That's also, I see,
Okay.
here's the thing. If you want to work in these areas as a bachelor's, you will be doing what we call shop floor work. You understand shop floor work? Fixing
Yeah.
things. If that's what you
Yeah.
want to do, it's fine. But then everybody can do that. Why,
Mm,
why they will need you?
mm,
Of course, it's a long-term program, but then you are selecting one of the emerging areas also, right?
mm.
So you
Yeah.
have to be an expert. You can't say, "Oh, this is a long-term short." There is no shortcut to anything. And I'm sorry, I don't have an answer to that. Also, what is the shortcut? There is no shortcut, because all these areas are, all these technologies you are speaking about are not mature technologies. Are still people are working to fix it. It's not like you have an aeroplane and it is flying for last 50 years. Do you understand my point?
Yeah.
So whenever we talk about immature technologies for many reasons, then you need experts. And as a bachelor's, even as a master's, you are not an expert. If you really want to contribute, you have to go to that PhD program and and understand that.
Oh,
And many people say, let's say, what if I do a master's? And I say this all the time, doing a master's is much easier than bachelor's. Trust me.
mm,
Bachelor's is hard actually. Master's is very easy because it's 2 years. It goes like this. Especially many US universities offer master's program, and in Europe also, where you don't have to do thesis. So that is way easier actually, because all you are doing is first year and second year of your bachelor's. That's it, right? Passing exam and
yeah.
qualify. End of the story.
Mm, okay.
So it doesn't qualify
Uh,
you as an expert then.
okay.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking is even mechanical behavior also have a slight interest, but on in the same domain. Um like I guess from your profile, you worked on that region, right?
Mhm.
Mechanical behavior of uh, in fuel cells.
Mhm.
So uh, uh, for that, is bachelor's actually enough, or maybe I have an interest towards that. So
Again, as I
yeah.
said, see, you're not understanding my point here. You are talking about very critical technologies, right?
Okay.
As I
Hmm.
said, you can work in any area as a bachelor's, but everywhere you will go, you will be doing shop floor work,
Okay.
and you will be replaceable. You can anybody can replace you, and
Hmm.
it will be also
Hmm.
tough for you to find that job because there are so many people
Hmm.
that can do the same thing, right? And then you will not be able to contribute the way you want. What can you do to improve the next generation batteries? By doing some test? No, you have to deep dive
Hmm.
in.
Okay. Got it.
So initially, that's the reason I said there is no shortcut there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you tell
Uh,
me, all the people who go to a core sector job as a bachelor's, do you think they make some sort of an impact? I don't think so.
hmm.
And what type of work they do? I mean, it's not. I'm saying something very totally new. They do probably some quality assurance type of a work where they say, "Hey, put this tape, stick it into in. Next, put this tape, stick into in." And that's what you do for next 5 years, and you
Yeah.
become a manager, right? So that's my
Hmm.
point. So again, these are the choices you will have, and there will be no shortcut. And you are talking about really good technologies, and those are the really good areas to work on, to be honest with you. A lot of problems that need to be solved, a lot of work need to be done and all that. But
Okay.
then they will need people who are an experts, and you will become an expert once you have that sort of a qualification.
Okay. Sure. Also, I was thinking of based. Have you gone through my CV?
Yeah, yeah.
So based on CV, do you think it's actually possible for, I mean, direct PhD maybe? I was also thinking of direct PhD earlier on discussion with my seniors and all. So, but GPA is something that pulls me down. So,
I think GPA is fine.
okay,
My GPA was much less than yours, so you are fine.
okay,
I don't think that's a bad GPA. I'm not talking about 10 out of 10. I mean, here's another thing, right? you can always compensate your GPA with a good GRE score.
Hmm.
And the way I see it is, as far as your GPA is decent, as far as you have that GPA, you can get excellent GRE score, great TOEFL score, your GPA, good recommendation letters from your institution, from your professors, some research work, some sort of a research experience as you have done in NUS and all that. You're good to go. But
Okay.
don't screw up your GRE in TOEFL. If you screw that up, there's no way.
Hmm. Hmm. Then also another thing I would like to ask is if CO2 capture is a actually have you seen that industry coming up anywhere?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people who are doing that work. But what's your question?
Like materials towards it. Also, even whenever I felt like PhD, I felt people work on very specific problems. So but in industry, you might get very different. So will industries accept that? Like for example, your what you're working on is like 20 years ahead, and industries will they accept something like that? A person who has done research on such a field.
I mean, I'm a little bit confused by your question, but I would say
Okay.
industry doesn't care. Industry care about the person and the personality.
Okay. Fine.
See, let me tell you one thing. What you do has nothing to do what you will do in future.
Hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
Nobody does that. Especially in industry, you move within every year doing different things. I mean, what I did in my bachelor's, which has a mining degree, has nothing to do with what I do now. I did my master's in civil, which has nothing to do with my bachelor's, and what I did in my PhD had nothing to do with what I'm doing now. Even after 2 years, I did nothing with what I. It just trains you. It's just a training that you can solve complex problems,
Okay.
right? So you think that what you are doing is this is very important and all that. Whenever you are doing something, focus on learning and improving it, and then probably what next you will do will be completely different, but maybe sometime you will use those things as a tool, right? But
Okay.
if you talk about what industry looks and all that, industry looks for leaders. Industry doesn't look for um, um, the industry perspective is very different. You will do a project or something that you will be focused on on something, but you are essentially looking for leaders who can make decisions. So
Hmm.
it's not about getting a GPA and something. It's about how you can you know integrate things, how you can bring ideas, right?
Okay.
But as I
Hmm.
said, this discussion is far away from you. What you should be focused now is what you want to do, what your interests are.
Yeah.
This discussion will come once you start working in an industry, what you're asking me, and you are
Hmm.
far away from that yet.
Okay.
Yeah, your
Hmm.
focus should be on what next I want to do, driven by your interest.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah. For PhD, I was
anything.
thinking. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. For PhD, I was thinking of is there any particular criteria I should follow to select? I mean, supervisors.
Uh, I mean, it's totally driven by your interest, what you want to
Yeah.
do, and then you will say, okay, who is the person who is working in this area? That's simple as that.
Yeah. But like, should I apply to him or the institute? Any such
You can
things?
always email professors and tell them about what you are doing and all that, but eventually you have to apply. But you can always inform professors that you would like, if as you said, you can always email a professor and get his or her opinion. And who knows, if a professor wants you, they can always hire you right away. But
Okay.
eventually you have to apply. So let's say your application goes to a committee, and the committee needs to decide based on your CV and based on your score and GPA, who out of these 15 people we have to select three, right? So who these three will be. So let's say if a professor already have some sort of a communication with you, he or she can say, I want this guy, right?
Hmm. Okay.
But if you don't do that, then it will go into that pool and the best will get selected.
Hmm. Okay.
So
Uh,
if you get some sort of a communication with a professor, it's good. That's all I'm saying.
okay. Also, I was actually not thinking of US because of the dynamic situation. Like I'm not sure what will happen there in future.
Mhm.
So I was thinking of maybe Japan or Germany like that. And Australia was under consideration. That's it. Even Canada is also there. So like these places, I'm not sure of Germany. Okay, fine, but Japan, I'm not sure of a master. I mean, a degree from there actually matters. Not masters, PhD itself. Like actually has a value. That's what my doubt was.
Val- Value for what?
Value for the degree. Like
Again,
in case,
again, give
like
me, refine your question.
okay, like I'm not sure if a degree from there, that country,
Mhm.
is valued somewhere else because
I mean,
situation in one
I
country
mean,
we cannot.
why it will not be valid? Your bachelor's from India is valid everywhere, so why the degree from there is not valid? I don't understand.
Like I came across some comments. That's why. It might be stupid actually, but
I mean, your degree from India is valid everywhere, so why that degree won't be valid?
I'm not sure. Maybe in terms of quality, people were commenting maybe on that.
I mean, Japan is a developed country. I mean, degree from
Okay,
Japan is as good as from US, to be honest.
good. Oh,
I mean, you are not going to do degree in some country ABC, which nobody knows, right? It's not like that. Japan, Germany, Australia, Korea. I mean, these are all well-developed countries and very fair and very good research. So I don't see that question has any meaning.
okay, okay,
I
good.
mean, as I said, I don't think your question is clear. If you ask me, with that degree, can I find a job somewhere else? I already gave you an answer. It will be difficult.
Yeah,
It depends
yeah.
on where you do your degree. That's where you find job. That's very clear.
Hmm.
So if your
Okay.
jo- if your question is with a US degree, can I find a job in China? My answer would be the same as if your Japan degree, can you find a job in Australia? Same answer. Difficult.
Oh,
So you do a job where you work most of the time.
hmm.
Because
Okay.
the reason I say so, because already in those countries you will find students who are graduating from that country and cannot find a job, and you are coming as an outsider. So imagine how difficult it would be. So
Okay.
here is an example. Infosys, somebody from South Africa, graduate in a computer science, can apply to Infosys India. Whether he or she will be able to find a job? No, because you have already so many students. So it's the same question, same thing.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
everywhere is the same thing, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So in that country, your chances of getting a job in that country is higher. So wherever you go, as you said, right? I'm deciding to go not to US but to Canada or somewhere. So that is the country your best likely chances is. So question here is why people come to US then? Why they don't go to Japan? That is the right question.
Hmm.
So why?
Okay.
You tell me.
Hmm. Maybe living. Okay. Maybe more salary.
Salaries are in Germany also is good. It's not about salary. It's There's only one factor that the reason people come flock to US is because US the opportunity pool is this high, and any other country the opportunity pool is very small. That is the
Okay.
only reason. The more the opportunities are, the more jobs are. Do you understand my point? That is the
Hmm.
only reason why people flock to US, because US creates opportunities for everyone. That's why a person who has 5 GPA in India comes here and flourishes. The reason, because for him also or her also, there are opportunities. You understand my point?
Yeah.
None
Hmm.
and no country in the world offers that. You go to Japan, you can get a degree, but if there is no job, what are you going to do with that degree?
mm,
because the
yeah,
opportunities will be less. So that is the only reason why. If in US, let's say there are no opportunities and there are so many colleges, right? Every in US, like every nook, every corner, there is a college, university, and
mm,
everybody gets a job. I mean, just imagine how amazing it is because of the opportunity. It's not about money,
true,
because, as I said, if you equivalent money you will find in Australia, you can find equivalent, you will see not different. But even in
mm,
India, why people don't get it? Because of the opportunity pool again. So you said, right, fuel cell, you can't find a job, but in US, you name it, you are a dancer, you can find a job. You
mm,
remember the point,
true,
opportunity is pool is very huge here.
mm,
So
okay,
that is the only reason why people flock here, because no matter what your talent is, no matter, if you are willing to do something, you will find something here always, rather than any other countries where, if you go and if and you will find like, oh, I want to really work in the area of space research, let's say, and it's like this country doesn't have a space program. You will find that too, right? But I you give me one area and US doesn't have big pool of opportunity, I will be amazed. You name it,
okay,
right? Whether it's acting, dancing, engineering, basketball, football, you just name it. I mean, so that is the reason why I say so big. That is the only reason why people flock here,
okay,
not some.
mm,
Yeah. But any the other side of it also, which plays a other role now. I mean, not now, it's playing for forever, immigration and all that is just not a new thing. But that everybody has to go through that.
okay,
So before,
yeah,
before you make a decision, just think about that. Not
mm,
many people think that way. You really need to understand what is the reason why. And also, as I said, it's very easy for anybody to come to US and do their masters on their own. It's a business. As far as you
mm,
are willing to pay, you can do masters anywhere in the world, right?
yeah,
But what's what you going to do after that, and are you willing to do that or not? So
okay.